Welcome to From Betrayal to Breakthrough, and here is a mini dose of Dr. Debbie where I'm sharing tips, suggestions, strategies, and sometimes just motivation to have you move past your betrayal once and for all. Hi there. So today we're going to do a little math. Now, if you're like me, you're no mathematician. That was never my strong suit. And it's something that I don't really pay much attention to, except there are one or two places when it comes to healing from betrayal where math can be really, really helpful. Let me explain. Yesterday, we had our open Q&A with the community. We call them coffee chats, where I go live and every member in the community can be there asking me any questions that they have. And one of our members asked a question, and it felt like it needed a very detailed answer. And her question was, I have been ruminating forever and it's driving me crazy and I can't take it anymore. And I've been stuck in stage 3 for so long. How can you help? And I thought about it and I said, I think we're going to go a little tough love on this one. And I said to her, okay, you know what? Do you have a calculator? Just take out your phone and the calculator on your phone. Sure. Okay. So I asked her, how many years have you been, would you say you've been marinating? Because she mentioned, ruminating all this time. And there's one thing to ruminate and then we marinate. And I was like, okay, well, let's just even say ruminating. How many years have you been ruminating? And she said 48. This was it started with a family betrayal, left unhealed. It affected every single relationship she's had since. And I said 48 years. So I started writing it down. And I want to show you if you're watching this. I just wrote down these numbers. Keep in mind, if the math is off, you'll still get the point. So I said 48 years. Okay. Now, in 48 years, how many days is that? And we figured it's 7,520 days. So I said, okay, we have 7,520 days. When you are ruminating, how much time do you think that takes up in a day? Does it take a few minutes, a few hours? If you had to say how much time, what would you say? And she said, well, sometimes it's just a few minutes at a time, and sometimes it's longer. And I said, okay, great. Well, add it up. And what do you think an average each day would be? And she said, well, probably about 2 hours a day. Now, I think this math is right, but then I did 0.08, figuring that's how many hours in a 24-hour day. So I said, okay, let's do that math. And it came out to 1,460 days. Stay with me here, everybody, because you can change these numbers to suit you. I want you to get my point. And I said, okay, we have 1,460 days. We know there are 365 days in a year. So if we take that number and divide it by 365 days in a year, what do you see? And she said, oh my gosh, 4 years. Think about this for a minute, everybody. 4 years. 4 years of her life dedicated to nothing other than ruminating over her experience. And I said, okay, because I know change has to happen when you've had enough of having enough. So I really wanted to drive this point home. Out of the 4 years you've spent, right? 48 years, 4 solid years. Out of any of those experiences, every single time you ruminated, did you come out of it any closer to moving towards the next stage? Did you come out of it feeling any better? Did you come out of it with any more of an understanding or an awareness or an insight or a perspective that you didn't have? No. When you spent over the last 48 years, the amount of time on support groups and therapy and everything else you were trying to do, did any of that move you closer to stage 4? No. So essentially, we're talking about 4 years has been spent doing nothing other than thinking of and going over painful experiences that do nothing but make you sick, sad, stuck, keep you small. And I saw the realization wash over her face, but I knew there was more to do. So to really drive the point home, I said, okay, well, think about it. I mean, first of all, it's not your fault. You didn't know. You didn't know there was a stage 4 and stage 5. You didn't think there was anything other than where you were. So this is not a fault thing, but I want you to understand it so that you could do something about it. And keep in mind, everything I'm saying, what I said to our member, I'm sharing because I want you to just take these same numbers and do the same thing for yourself. So I thought, let me just really drive this point home. So I asked her, what could you have done in 4 years? What could you do? You know, what could 4 years bring you? Could it have given you an entirely new level of health? Could you have gotten a PhD? Could you have written a few books? Could you have started a new business? Could you have embarked on a completely new type of relationship based on love and integrity and honesty and authenticity and all of these things, right? What could you have done in 4 years? And I wanted her to think about it. And now here's the other part of this. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And you've heard me say this before. So here's the thing. If nothing changes, you really could spend another 48 years. And then when you just do the math to get to the actual time you're ruminating, another 4 years of doing nothing but ruminating over this experience. Think about that person who hurt you. Think about that experience. Is it worth 4 years of your life? Especially, it's not even like you're coming out of it with any more of an understanding or insight that you didn't have beforehand. Look at the power we give to our experience. I am not suggesting at all that you don't need to do the deep work to move through it. Yes, you do, so that you can officially leave stage 3 and be in stage 4 and then stage 5. But when all we're doing is going over it, yes, you're right. Yes, you're, the injustice is real. Yes, you've been duped. Yes, you've been wronged, and all of these years of, let's say, seeking validation, or you wanted to be heard and validated, understood, all these things. Yes, even if you have that, what has it brought you when all you're doing is spending 4 years, 4 solid years ruminating on this? Now, here's the thing. The only thing for sure you could get from doing this are symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. That's 100%, because your body, your mind can't take that constant onslaught of stress hormones coursing through your body 24/7, or for however long you're doing that. So then start thinking of the symptoms. I always pull the symptoms from the post-betrayal syndrome quiz, but I'll just name them. I won't even give you the stats, but think about it, where just the physical symptoms: low energy, sleep issues, extreme fatigue, weight changes, digestive issues. I mean, that's what's coming if all you're doing is ruminating. Mental symptoms: you're overwhelmed, you're walking around in a state of disbelief, you can't focus, you're in shock, you can't concentrate. That's what's going to happen if all you're doing is ruminating. Sadness, anger, feeling hurt, anxious, stressed. Then think about how it affects every other area of your life. An inability to trust. How can you trust someone or regain trust or learn how to trust again if all you're doing is going over your story? You're either having repeat experiences, which was exactly the case with her, or you're putting that big wall up because you haven't moved past stage 3. You haven't moved past the pain of where you are, learned from it. So you sort of think, okay, well, you know what, it's better to keep people at a distance than risk that level of pain again. So now, again, do the math right there. You've taken 48 years, 4 solid years of doing nothing more than ruminating. But over the course of 48 years, with still staying stuck in stage 3, there can be no healthy relationships that come your way. There can be no new true understanding of how to rebuild trust. There can be no true understanding that even though it happened to you, it wasn't about you. So when you think of 48 years, what has that led? What did it lead her to? The choices she made, maybe the job she took, even the clothes she wore, how her health was, all of these things. How could life possibly look renewed enhanced, improved, when all you're doing is taking yesterday's news and putting it into tomorrow, reliving what happened and bringing it into your future, taking your past and making it your present. So that's what happens when nothing changes. But when we really boil it down to the amount of time, it's like you're saying, oh, you know what, everybody, I am just going to check out and I'm going to go into a cave for 4 years. And so for 4 years, I'm not going to be with my family. I'm not going to be with my friends. I'm not going to be doing my work or contributing in whatever way I am here on the planet to do. I am going to just remove myself and ruminate. And then you come out 4 years later, right? And nothing has changed. You are the same version of you, except you're more sick because you can't help but be. So that's the given. That's what happens when nothing changes, because all you've been doing is ruminating. Again, it is not your fault. You didn't have the tools, you didn't have the understanding, you didn't have the awareness. It's impossible to do something different than we've been doing if we don't have the incentive to do it, if we don't have the tools, if we haven't gotten so furious or so fed up with what we've been doing. You know, I did 2 TEDx talks, and in the first one, Stop Sabotaging Yourself, I talk about when the pain of where you are becomes greater than the fear of the unknown, that's when we jump. But because of that unknown, we just keep doing what's familiar. It's not that it's so good. It's just that it's so familiar. We know how it works. We understand it. It feels very comfortable, even if it stinks. So we do it over and over and over again. In her case, 48 years, a string of relationships that really kind of looked like the original pain that she was coming from. It was never healed. And because of that, her sense of worthiness, her sense of confidence, her sense of self-worth, her sense of self-esteem were all kind of created in that first relationship and then played out in those future relationships. And it led to where she is right now. Now, I know so many of you are watching this, listening to this, feeling a little bit sick. And I get it. And I know how hard this is, because you weren't aware. And now you may be angry with yourself, or you may be furious that you gave your power to this person all this time. I get all of that. And when you do that, you continue to give your power away. So what you want to do now is say, okay, it's been 48 years. It's been a 4 solid years, amount of years of nothing other than this. It stops now. From this moment on, I'm doing everything humanly possible to move out of stage 3 into stage 4. Whatever the numbers are for you, even take half. So let's say it hasn't been 48 years, but take 24 years, which would be half. So instead of 4 years, it's been 2 years, whatever the number is, whatever number you come up with, do this math. Take the amount of years that it's been since you felt like the vibrant, amazing, lovable, worthy, deserving human that you are. That's who you are. And from the original betrayal that had you thinking that's not who you are, take the amount of years it's been. Take the amount of years, put that into the amount of days, right? The amount of days that adds up to, and now say, okay, it's been this many days that I have believed I'm not lovable, worthy, deserving, amazing, whatever, all those things. And now figure out how much time have I given to this experience in a day? Is it an hour a day? Is it 5 hours a day? If I were to just give an average of how much time I'm giving to this experience, to this person who originally hurt me, what would I give it? And then take the amount of hours, right? And then you know how many hours are in a day. Again, I am no mathematician, but I'm giving you this formula so you can figure it out. How many hours a day? How many days does that equal? Whatever your amount of days is. Now you know there are 365 days in a year. How many years is it? Whatever you come up with, look at that number. Look at that number, not to upset you, to inspire you, to motivate you to say, it stops now. It stops right here. Now, I know if you do this, and I really invite you to, because you want that shock, because that's what's going to create the change. If nothing changes, nothing changes. You heard me say that already, and I say it a lot. It's really true. You want that shock to inspire you. No one can make this change for you other than you. Of course, within the PBT Institute, we have our coaches and me and our supportive community and everything on hand once you make that decision, but nobody can make that decision to get started other than you. So what I invite you to do that math, come up with that number, and you decide, today is the day it stops. I am not letting it go another day, another week, another month, another year, another decade. No, remember, this is your life. You get to decide what you do with it and what you make of it. You are not just a recipient of what happens to you. You're the creator of your life. Everything that you have chosen, and I'm not saying you didn't come from some really painful experiences, but you decide what you do with it, the beliefs you have around it, the meaning you make of it. And when you decide, I made it mean I wasn't enough, I wasn't worthy, I wasn't this, oh, no, that's over. That's the day your healing begins. So if you found you've been stuck in stage 3 for way longer than you need to, go you. Because without this awareness, you could have been stuck for another bunch of years, another bunch of decades, who knows? It stops now. Do the work to move out of stage 3 into stage 4, into stage 5. And then, even with this one member, we had a few other members asking about it. We have a signature program within the PBT Institute. It's our Betrayal to Breakthrough program. It literally moves you through the 5 stages. It's just one of the ways we help you move through. And after each stage, there's a milestones and marker checklist. And what I recommend to all of our members is, don't you dare start thinking you are out of that stage or ready for the next stage until you are able to check off every single thing that last stage was about. Because if you still have things that are lingering, then they will follow you. So you do the work to move out of, let's say, stage 3, and whatever's still lingering, I recommend it to one of our other members, take that thing to when you have your coaching sessions with our incredible PBT coaches. Bring this and say, hey, I'm almost done. I'm almost out of stage 3. This is what I still have to work on. Then work on that specific thing. So you can check off every single thing showing I am officially done with this stage 3. I'm officially done with ruminating and going over it and just spinning and being stuck. And I'm officially moving into stage 4, where transformation begins. So I know this was a lot, but do what I invite you to do. Do the math. Math has very little to do when it comes to healing from betrayal. Yes, of course, especially in the earlier stages, like stage 2, you need to regulate the nervous system. You need to get the trauma out of your tissues. You need to make sense of the senseless. I get all of that, but it doesn't take 48 years. And you deserve to understand this so you can effectively, efficiently, predictably move through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough. People ask me all the time, how long does it take? And I said, it has more to do with willingness than time. It has to do with a willingness to let go of your story, a willingness to not numb, avoid, distract yourself, a willingness to face it, feel it, and heal it. So that's exactly how you move through. Remember, if the research proved it works, it's in the PBT Institute. If it proved it did not work, it's not. So if you've had enough of having enough, if you've been stuck in stage 3 for a really long time, let us help you. We're talking 90 days, 3 months in our most popular, our Reclaim program, where you have access to me, our incredible community, our amazing coaches who specialize in all different things, masterclasses with people you cannot get appointments with. They're just here to serve our community, just because they love what we're up to. The programs, the most supportive, loving community that lifts and inspires, doesn't keep you stuck, and so much more. So do the math. And you know what? Reach out. I want to know, how long has it been? And have you had enough of having enough? That's when you jump. And that's when you start making those changes. Listen, you have every right to stay stuck if you want to, but stage 4, stage 5 feels so much better. Life is waiting for you in stages 4 and 5. A new level of health, new relationships, either with the person who hurt you in a very different way or someone entirely new, a new business, a new passion project. We've seen all of it in stages 4 and 5. The PBT Institute, that was a stage 5 thing. Marrying my husband again, that was a stage 5 thing. So what's waiting for you when you finally get out of stage 3 and move into stages 4 and 5? I can't wait to hear your story. Of course, if we can help you, I really want to. So again, take the amount of time you've been spending, do the math, figure out the actual total amount of days, months, weeks, years you've been ruminating, and make a decision. It stops today. I hope that helps. You need the right tools, support, and the right community to move through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough. And we have all that within the PBT Institute. So join us at the PBT, as in post-betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com. There's a version of you who's so confident, healthy, peaceful, and happy on the other end of your healing. And we can't wait to help you get there. We got you. Thanks for listening. And here's to your breakthrough.